Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 64 of Preston Jensen's podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host, Preston. Tonight, I've got a very special guest. I was trying to think of a way to describe him. At first, I was going to say, hey, it's my friend from high school, but I can't really say that because he was my friend from elementary school, and I can't really say that because I feel like he's been a friend longer than that. He was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. We went to college together, we went to high school together, elementary school together. So, without further ado, Isaac Olson is my guest tonight. Isaac, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Isaac is an employee of Microsoft, and I thought what a perfect opportunity to have him on to talk a little bit about Microsoft 11. I know he wasn't sitting back there developing Microsoft 11, but it sounds like you've had a little bit of time to play around with the beta. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, with Windows 11, it's kind of it's just like to me, it keeps the familiarity of Windows 10, which actually people have really loved and has probably been one of the longest versions of Windows out there, actually, without changing. But it just gives that kind of fresh new look, kind of like when you get a new iPhone, and everything's familiar, but it feels quicker, cleaner, crisper. So I can say that as a Microsoft employee, I still love my iPhone. So
oh, that's good to hear that you work with both of them, because I'm kind of in the creative community or the YouTube community. It seems like most people would use a Mac computer, and in the business industry, most people would probably use a PC. But it seems like with the release or the upcoming release of Microsoft 11 and Apple products today, it seems like those are kind of converging. Do you think that's the case?
yeah, I definitely think so. If you watched like the keynote for Windows 11, they talked a lot about the, putting you in the center, right? Which is more of a personal PC rather than a business PC, which is more what kind of Apple goes for usually. And some of the ideas too, like when you're using your MacBook and such, your bar in the middle is on the bottom in the middle of your screen, and that's kind of what they're doing here. But the idea is kind of getting the person at the center of it and making it more personalized to you rather than you adapting to it.
And I think that's key, because we all know what happened when Microsoft decided to get rid of something like the start button and how big of a commotion that caused. I can't even remember when they had or when they moved the start button. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
so Windows Vista did for a little bit. And then Windows 8, they also did a similar, and anything you look up on Windows 11, every YouTuber says, so you had Windows XP, and then you had Windows Vista, and then you had Windows 7, and then you had Windows 8, and then you had Windows 10. And so will Microsoft break the cycle with Windows 11, because it's every other version's been a flop.
And for those of you only listening to the audio version of that, Isaac was giving the thumbs up, thumbs down for each year. So hopefully Windows 11 will break that cycle. And from the screenshots I've seen and from the keynote that I watched, it seems like it's going to be very user-friendly with the consumer in mind. Like Isaac was saying, with the iPhone, everything just seems familiar, and I feel like that's going to be the case with Windows 11. Some of the other features that I think Windows beats Apple in is some of the productivity features that it has as far as snapping grids and stuff. What can you say about that?
Yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that even in current Windows 10, Windows 8 actually started it. You can hit the Windows key and hit the left arrow, right arrow, and it snaps the screens to the left and right. Um, and yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that was already there, but they took that a step further now. And you hit your Windows key and you can snap four different apps and or three and have one be on the left side and then two on the right side split up. And it does it in a smart way so that you can still see everything on the screen that you need to see, but you can have multiple things without the need for multiple monitors all the time.
I know that was one of the biggest frustrations for me when I went from a PC to a Mac. The first thing I went to is when I had like a Word document up, I like to just drag it to the side and have it snap into place in the middle. I like
Mhm.
to snap a website to the side and have it snap into the middle. And at the time when I switched over to Apple, they didn't have that feature. You had to have um, extra software in order for that to run. And I actually purchased that software, and it was kind of buggy. And talk about frustrating. And it's just something so little, but it's so important. I'm
Yeah,
very excited to see the different snapping tile features because I think that's going to be a big improvement to what's already kind of superior. Is
yeah,
there anything else that you think is a little trick like that that's going to be awesome for this new experience?
yeah. And actually, on top of the snapping, you're docked at your workspace and you've got your multiple monitors and you've got your Outlook open over here and your QuickBooks open over there and whatever. When you undock and then you go bring your computer home or whatever and you start working or just you got to go to a meeting, so you can bring your computer there. Uh, all your windows are now kind of just jumbled and minimized and whatever. So with Windows 11 now, it memorizes where your windows were, so you get back to your desk, you dock, everything's back where it used to be, and so you can just pick up where you left off.
That is a huge feature. And for someone like you working at Microsoft, you're using what are you using the Surface, or what do you guys use at work?
Yeah, most of us now are using Surfaces. Not all of us, but I've been on a Surface Pro 4. I've had that for about 5 years or so, and then I've had my Surface Book 2 for about 2.5 years, and that is by far the best computer slash tablet that I've ever used in my life, because it truly is a full functioning computer, can do everything you need, has loads of processing, huge hard drive, and extra graphics card built into the keyboard when you're docked. Um, so I love the Surface Book, and that's if anyone ever asks for like, oh, what's the best laptop? What would you get? I would splurge on a Surface Book. That to me is the way to go.
Well, you've already sold a couple people in my family on the Surface Book. I know my brother and my dad both got it, and both of them absolutely love it. And I'm kind of curious because I guess I don't have a iPad or a Surface Book. If you were to get one of them, it seems like if you were to get a iPad Pro and a Surface Book, they're pretty similarly priced. But it seems like the Surface Book would have so much more functionality with the capability of being an actual computer. Is that true? Or
Yeah, yep, definitely. I mean, it, and the other thing about with the iPad Pro is, okay, you pay just as much as the Surface Book or whatever to get it, and then you got to buy the keyboard, right?
right?
And
Yeah,
there's
that's
another
see, that's in my
150
mind.
200
It's
bucks,
right. Yep.
and and plus majority of business applications aren't um, going to work on a Apple, iPad Pro, but with kind of the future going cloud, majority of like Microsoft Dynamics products now, you can actually just run right through a browser. So you could run that on an iPad, you could run it through anything, as long as you have the keyboard and all the computing power and everything is going through, you know, Azure and our Microsoft servers and everything. And so it's, you know, Microsoft's adapted to the point where a lot of our products, we're making them compatible with everything because we want you to love your device and be able to use our products on any device and not choose us just because the device you like doesn't work with, you know, what you want to use.
Right. And that's another thing I was excited about when I was looking at this Microsoft 11 is that it looks like it's adding a lot of capability for the Xbox. Uh,
Yep.
and that's something both of us are very into, the Xbox. Actually, my nephew was just
Yep.
asking me the other day. He said, Preston, why do you like the Xbox over the PlayStation? And I said, well, easy. It's got more power. Um,
Mhm.
but another reason is obviously all of my friends play on Xbox, and it just seems like it's a lot more seamless when everyone has the same thing. Now with cross compatibility, it's probably not as big an issue, but it's nice when all of us run the same machine. What are some of the features that Windows 11 has for gaming?
So they actually took the technology that they built for the Xbox Series X with Auto HDR, and they built it right into the operating system. So you can basically take a lot of your old games and upscale them to have automatic HDR and just, you know, make them look new again, which is pretty cool.
See, here's something I haven't tried, but I think it works. Somehow you're supposed to be able to play through your Xbox onto a computer. Have you done that?
So I have tried through my phone, actually
Okay.
hooking up my Xbox controller to Bluetooth to my iPhone, and then you can remote into your Xbox and play through that. Um, and but I was doing that during kind of their beta phase,
Okay.
and there was some latency there where I think they've kind of fine-tuned some of those things, but it's one of those things where it would work great for like a role-playing game, you know, like a single player game where
Right.
the latency doesn't really matter, and where like if you're playing Call of Duty online, you know, obviously you can't afford to have any lag or latency between the connection, but a lot of Xbox's games now, we actually make them so that they're native for PC also, so you can actually
Okay.
just install the full game on the PC side, and you can even just use your Xbox account to, you know, to log in and download a lot of those probably both ways.
Really, all of this stuff is pretty outrageous when you think back to when we were younger and we were playing on the PlayStation 1, even back to the NES. I mean, and when those came out, when the N64 came out, I remember everyone thinking, you know what? We'll never see anything better than this. And now we're talking about playing our Xbox, bringing a controller along, playing it through our phone, playing it on the computer, coming home, playing it on your TV. It just doesn't even seem possible. And to top it all off, the graphics, you know, I'm going to say it. It doesn't seem like they could get any better than they are now, but I know in a couple of years Microsoft will release a new Xbox and we'll be shocked again. Um, I mean, I think back to like when we played Aladdin on what was that, Sega Genesis or
Like a
something?
Genesis, yep.
And back then, I remember thinking, my goodness, this is just perfect. Well, looking back now, I played Aladdin again, 2021, and it's like, man, how can we even play this? Because it's so everything's so pixelated and stuff. But
Mhm.
at the time, that's all you have. So I mean, it looked awesome, but it seems like the gaming industry is just moving so quick. And but it still is kind of fun to go back and play some of the old games. Um, but you
Yeah,
have anything
I
to say
almost
on that? I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
I almost get too frustrated trying to play those old games, whether it's, you know, Sonic or Mario
yep,
or whatever. just because I feel like I'm pressing the button at the right time, and what I'm pressing doesn't happen on the screen. We're
Exactly.
so spoiled with everything working so perfect with all our new technology and everything. And I actually watched a documentary on kind of the conception of, or kind of the beginning of video games and with Blockbuster and stuff.
Okay.
And they were trying to create more game rentals. And they said, well, if we make the game too easy, people rent it for one day, they beat it, and then they never rent it again. And so there were actually some people were saying like the Lion King game. Do you remember that one on
I
Sega
remember
Genesis?
that. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Very difficult.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The I can't wait to be king level where the monkeys are throwing you around. Uh, they actually coded it so that one of the monkeys would only catch you, even if you timed it just perfect, uh, on certain tries, so
Oh,
that you would intentionally fall down and die and couldn't beat the level every time.
oh
So
my
then
goodness.
people would rent the game more often so that they could try to beat it next time.
Well, that's totally frustrating. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad I
And I
didn't
get
know that back then.
Yeah, yeah. After I saw it, I knew the exact spot they were talking about too, because I remembered how hard it was to time, just pressing the button at the right time so that monkey would catch you and throw you to the next one.
Well, the other thing I think of, how frustrating it was to not beat the level, but the problem with those games is there's no save points. So you lose, you go to the beginning, which was totally
Hmm.
frustrating too. Actually, that game might have been new enough where it had a couple save points, but still, you went way back farther than like today. It seems like you die and then boom, you're right back where you were in
Yep.
any of the games we play. But another thing I want to talk about, I want to touch here because everyone on my podcast is probably thinking, man, you're how old and you're still playing video games? But we've got a fun little tradition with all of our friends. It seems like every Friday night after about 10 o'clock, we all get together and we play Call of Duty or whatever the latest game is. And it's just a good way to stay connected with friends. And I would say this is something that we started during the pandemic and we couldn't be together, but we've been playing video games every Friday night for as long as I can remember. So,
Hmm.
um, for someone like me who's actually not very good at video games at all, it's just a good social hour for me. But for Isaac, he's able to socialize and dominate the world of Call of Duty at the same time. So
Oh, geez, yeah.
it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, and well, the way I describe it too, because I still bring my Xbox to my in-laws when we go and stay there, and I'm 31 years
Absolutely.
old, and
Yep.
uh, and and uh, and the way I describe it to them is, so some people go out to the bars with their friends from 10 o'clock until 1 a.m. Instead of doing that, me and my friends, we get together virtually and we get on party chat and we just have a good time, and if we win we win, if we lose we lose, but we just have fun and get together, and it's our way to catch up.
But at the same time, we can get very competitive if we're playing NBA Jam. Now that's something
Oh,
we haven't played in a long time, and I don't know if any of the listeners or anybody watching knows anything about NBA Jam, but it was discontinued, and we would love to have that game back because that was
hmm,
one of our favorites for many years throughout college. We would get into some heated tournaments with all of our friends, and we had a lot of fun with that. In fact, I didn't you even reach out to EA Sports at one point and say, "Hey,
yep.
we'd like to take this over."
I did. Yeah, I tried to reach out to him and went through the channels I could, and just to see, what would it cost to get rights to that game, to try to bring it back, or what can I do to get you guys to put your servers back up, or to help you build a fan base, because I would seriously invest in that game if we could bring it back. And it's NBA Jam on Fire Edition for those listening. It was for Xbox 360, and it was when they brought back kind of the more 3D version, and they had kind of the big head bobblehead mode, and that game was just so It was so good.
It was so good, and I would definitely invest in that too. There's no question. And I feel like the potential with that game is endless because, I mean, all the downloadable characters you could have. And I feel like there's already such a nostalgic fan base from the old NBA Jam that if you release that, everyone's going to be hopping on board because at the time this NBA Jam on Fire Edition came out, it was kind of an afterthought then too, wasn't it? At the time, wasn't it? I forget, is it NBA 2K or something was not
Yeah,
2K,
NBA
NBA
Live.
Live. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, they
I
had quit making NBA Live, and then NBA Live was just making a comeback. And they kind of said they weren't quite ready for it. They needed another year, so it's almost like they kind of spun this up. I don't know if it was just because they needed more time or what. But it was an amazing game, and I even reached out and emailed Dude Perfect and
oh
basically gave him a sales pitch and said, you can just have this idea for free,
yep,
but if you put your Dude Perfect guys into that game and brought it back and then add sponsor teams like, oh, now I've got a State Farm team and now I've got a progressive team and you got Flow and you're playing NBA Jam with Flow. I mean, who wouldn't keep playing into this and who wouldn't even, I mean, I'd be paying, if it's $2 to add another team, download another team, I'd be forking out money left and right.
absolutely. I would be too. If anyone with EA Sports is listening, let's make this happen. And please cut me a deal so I can get a Jensen Air team on there. So I don't know if I'd be able to sponsor a team like everyone else, but I think that'd be sweet to have a Jensen Air team or a ZPND team on there
Oh,
because that's
yes.
actually our, I guess, for those of you who like the gaming side of things, our group or our gaming uh, group of friends that we have is called ZPND, and actually we just kind of released a YouTube channel. I should have even thought of bringing that up. That wasn't even in my notes, but we got to promote that channel here as well because
Yeah.
it seems like constantly there's being clips put out on that. Not from me, but from a lot of my friends who are good at gaming. But Isaac, you're the one who actually started that, aren't you?
Yeah, I just thought, you know what, we are constantly because and this is even another topic, but the Xbox app, holy cow,
Yes,
is that an awesome app? I mean, that's another reason
unbelievable.
to have Xbox over PlayStation, right? Because I
Right.
mean, you download or you're playing your game, and while you're playing, you do something cool. You hit the button, it records your last 45 seconds of gameplay or whatever you have it set to, uploads it right to your app, and you've got it on your phone. You can download it, send it to your friends. You can chop it up in iMovie right on your phone. It, I mean, it's so awesome. But we were sharing these awesome videos back and forth, and pretty soon we created a Facebook page. So we have a Facebook page called Zombie Path, because that's actually the Zombie Path North Dakota is actually our name, and
Or Notre Dame or basically anything.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they used to confuse us with that every once in a while.
Yep.
Back before we did party chat all the time, we'd get some
Yep.
people, "What are you from Notre Dame?"
Yep.
And we'd be
Yep.
like, no, North Dakota. And
Yep.
uh,
But yeah,
but
uh, that app is unbelievable because even the clips that come out of there, they're high resolution. I mean, it's
yep,
spot on. You can't really beat that as far as a sharing capability for gamers like us who are probably not going to have any type of recorder on the extra piece of hardware. This way, you're able to
yep,
just well, actually, with the new Xbox, they incorporated that button right on the controller. But
yep.
in fact, I still don't even use that button. I still do the Xbox button and X
Yeah,
to
I still
record.
do
But
that. I still do that out of habit too.
yep,
I even have on my Xbox Elite controller, I have one of the paddles set up for recording, and I even forget to hit that. I still just out of habit hit Xbox button X. It's
yep, I
it's
always
just
do that as well. But that that's just another feature that Microsoft is saying, hey, we want to make your life easier. Instead of pushing
mhm,
two buttons, we'll make a new button so you can just push one. And
yep,
is that the same setup where it just does the exact same recording, whatever you have set for that button.
Yeah, yep. And I'm pretty sure you can even set it up where it automatically posts it to your Twitter account. You
Oh,
don't even have
wow.
to do anything. It uploads it, sends it out, pushes it. They might have a couple different social media things for that. But for some reason, Twitter sticks out to me.
Well, that's the next thing we've got to set up because that's another opportunity that we're missing out on. Another thing we're missing out on is live streaming. And the thing with that, though, we always kick the idea back and forth, but we're catching up through the week, and we don't want all our conversations broadcasted throughout the world. So it's nice to just have some time where you're not being recorded, to be honest. But that's
Yep.
something we could think about in the future. Another topic I wanted to bring up tonight is sports. We've played sports through high school, through elementary school. We've went to a lot of sports, big sporting events together. We went to a very awesome preseason Viking game together
Mhm.
where I always thought it was overtime, but I actually look back. I think they just won it at the end of regulation. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was clock expiring
Mm-hmm.
in the fourth quarter,
And I
last play of
remember
the game.
last play of the game and preseason, so a lot of people had funneled out of the stadium at that point, but we drove all the way from North Dakota to go see this game, and it was a night game. And I remember we got back to our vehicle in the parking ramp at about, was it 11 or 12? I
Yeah,
can't
it
even
was
remember,
it was late.
but
And then drove back.
drove back, and the next morning I went to work. That was just about as tired as I've ever been, but totally worth it. And that same year, Isaac was at the Minneapolis Miracle game. How awesome was that to be there live for
Oh,
something like that?
I've never experienced something that like that in my life, and I actually almost wore my Minneapolis Miracle t-shirt. I've got the gritty t-shirt on instead today. Uh,
And And for those of you just listening to this podcast, you'll have to head on over to my YouTube channel and see our outfits here. Usually I don't promote stuff that I'm wearing, but we did not plan this. We're both wearing Vikings hats, Viking t-shirts, and this
mhm.
wasn't planned. So head on over to YouTube and check that out. Um,
Yep,
so the Minneapolis Miracle, it was even able to convert your brother into becoming a Viking fan at that point.
yep,
How
yeah.
awesome
My
is that?
oh, that was it. My brother growing up, he always liked the bad guys, like in
Yeah.
cartoon movies, all that stuff. He always wanted to be the bad guy, and I think that rolled over to some of his sports teams that he liked when he was younger, because he liked Frank Thomas on the White Sox. Ick,
Yeah,
and
and
then
see, we're
and
big
then
Twins fans here, so
yeah,
we obviously
you
don't like that.
and then big Vikings fans. Well, he likes Brian Urlacher for the Chicago Bears, so he was a big Bears fan for probably 10 years of his life, maybe I don't know, maybe even more. But uh, and then take him to the Minneapolis Miracle, and on his way out, he's like, he's like, don't tell Preston yet, but I'm converting to be a Vikings fan. This was just too amazing to this is it's like basically like this is the right time to do it.
You know what? He didn't have to tell me because throughout uh, our entire lives, I've always known he secretly liked the Vikings. There's too many Viking fans in his corner to not like them a little bit. So
Yep.
I think he's secretly liked the Vikings all along. But
Yep.
I'm super excited for the season this year. I think typical Viking fan, this is our year. So I don't know how you're feeling on the season going in, but I think this is it.
I told myself after last season, I was like, I'm just not going to get my hopes up this year. Just let's just try to make the playoffs and do what we can do. But then, a lot of people, even true Vikings fans, just don't realize what the Vikings actually went through last year with no Anthony Barr, only had Eric Kendricks for part of the season. We signed the Juggernaut, who is just crazy good defensive lineman. He opts out due to COVID. Daniil Hunter, our all-star pass rusher, out for season. So you take five of our, best players on
Key
defense, and we
guys,
are
really.
known for our elite defense. And you're basically putting in second string guys, and then your second strings are actually, after you put your second string guys as starters, then you actually have special teams guys who are now starting on your defense or subbing into your defense. Um, Luckily, we had a great offense last year that kept
Right.
us into games. But you take our same offense because we really didn't lose anything, and Vikings are going to be a top 10 defense, barring any injuries.
Right. And that's the
That's
big
my,
question for any teams. I mean,
yep.
hopefully that doesn't happen. And you can throw this on top too, because at the start of last season, we're coming off losing Diggs, and we don't know that Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
So we didn't know that. Luckily, he looks like he's the next big superstar in the NFL. And from everything I've heard out of training camp this year, I think he's going to tear it up. I think he's going to be one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the game. And we can't sleep on Adam Thielen. I mean, every year he
Hmm.
proves that he's one of the best. And every year people are saying, oh, now he's getting old. Now he's not, every year proves people wrong.
Hmm.
And that's what he's been doing his whole career. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon. So,
Yep. And Irv Smith Jr.
yes,
is going to come out of the shadows with no Kyle Rudolph. Uh, he's bulked up. He's worked on his blocking. He is an above average receiver with, as a tight end with high end speed. And when you have Jefferson double teamed, Thielen needs a lot of focus. Now we have Dede Westbrook who can run the fly route. Who's gonna cover the middle with Irv Smith Jr.? I mean, we've got a lot of weapons.
I'm getting too excited even thinking about this. And then I think, we signed Patrick Peterson. Another weak point of our defense last year was our cornerbacks. We've got Cam Dantzler with another year under his belt. He
Mhm.
already knows the system. He was a rising star last year. You got to expect him to have another phenomenal year. Just seems like everything is falling into place, and hopefully everyone stays healthy, because that's always the biggest thing with training camp and early on in the season. Hopefully we stay healthy. One of the big bummers of the offseason for me is I was really hoping Aaron Rodgers was going to be traded.
Uh,
But
yep.
at the end of the day, we know we dominate the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, so we may as well beat them with Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it'll be more fun to win with a full strength Packer team. So should be
And I
fun.
think even him being there, he's gonna stir up some more controversy, and
I think
especially with
so.
him. Yeah, I mean, the first thing he does when he comes back is basically just call out all the problems and with their organization and everything that he was holding in before. And I was just like, yes, let's keep
Yes,
start lighting fires here.
as a Viking fan, I kind of like that stuff too, and that probably won't sit well with some of his teammates. So
Hmm.
hopefully we can get something going here, and hey, maybe in the future he'll want to be a Viking.
Yeah, yep.
Uh,
And actually I saw when he announced he was coming back, he said something about, I've let all my closest friends know my decision. And I believe as one of his offensive linemen tweeted, I guess I'm not one of your closest
oh, there
friends,
you
because
go.
he had no idea. And so I
That's all
liked
right.
that. And I heard
Keep
another scary rumor about, as a Vikings fan, we also don't like the Saints,
right.
mainly just because of Sean Payton, you
Yes,
know. Uh,
absolutely.
and I actually heard that Rodgers in New Orleans next year is a possibility, which would
That
be
would be
two of my least
nasty.
favorite people
Yeah, I know. On
on the
one
same
team,
team.
that would be totally frustrating. But if Rodgers does want to stick it to the Packers, we always have a spot at backup quarterback behind Kirk Cousins. So
Yep,
if he
yep,
wants to come
that's
over, he
true.
can feel free to back up Kirk, because
Yeah, yep.
he's our guy. I know a lot of people are low on Kirk Cousins or whatever. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. I can't wait
Hmm.
to see what he does. I think he's going to be a great leader for the team, and I don't know. I'm just getting pumped about all this. Now, our Twins, on the other hand, I think they've got a few more things to sort out before they get up to the top again. I thought at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, all the experts had them as one of the favorites for the World Series, and now looking back, it's
Hmm.
like, oh man, what went wrong? Well, we know the pitching hasn't been there,
Free
but
agent pitching.
yeah, pitching, that's it. And oh, that's all I can say about that. Is just big sigh because that's just been totally frustrating. But hopefully, we can some of these new prospects we're getting will shine in the future, and we'll be saying in a few years that hey, that deal worked out. But I hope that if we get to that point and these guys are stars, that we don't just trade them for prospects. We've been in this vicious
Uh,
cycle too long.
yeah, it was really sad to see Barrios go.
I
Um,
know.
it's your one solid starting pitcher that came up through your
Through the
organization.
system.
Yep, kind of a fan favorite, even though, a lot of people wanted him to take that next step and be the clear ace and everything. He was always that borderline 1-2 pitcher, and it's just too bad to see him go. You could tell in his interview, his exit interview, that he really didn't want to go. So
Right.
it is unfortunate.
Very unfortunate there. And another one, a big fan favorite, Nelson Cruz is gone.
Hmm.
That one was tough for me because I think he kind of started the Bomba squad. Him coming to Minnesota and just kind of changing the culture because I always think of the Minnesota Twins as a small ball team. And when he came, we just turned into, kind of like the Yankees of old. Like we're just going to be power hitters, and we're just going to be fun to watch. And so that was frustrating to see him go. However, I did see that there may be a possibility of him coming back in the offseason, which I would be pumped about. That would be a
Yeah,
lot of
yep.
fun.
Yeah,
It'd
he
be
even
cool for.
and yeah, he in an interview, one of the reporters even flat out asked him, would you be open to returning to Minnesota next year? And he said absolutely.
Yes,
So
that's exactly what I want to hear.
yeah, I mean, you don't always hear that from a guy who's just getting traded, but I think they sat down with him and said, you know, hey, you're taking one for the team here. You're doing us a favor. We want you to go and take a shot at, potentially getting a ring. If it doesn't work out, we'd love to have you back, and maybe we can use the guys that we traded for you to help you get a ring next year with us.
I,
So
I like the sound of all that. You should probably be working in the front office with the Twins, I think, too. So that sounds like a great speech to give him on his way out the door. But another cool thing would just be to have Nelson Cruz retire as a Twin. I know he's been playing
yeah,
forever, but there would be something cool about that. Um, well, before I let you go here, I always have like a lightning round here, and Chelsea kind of helped me on a few of these questions, but just quick questions. They might spark a little more conversation, but some of this stuff, I feel like I might know the answer to. It's tough interviewing a friend because you feel like you know what they're going to be saying. But all right, question number one: favorite video game of all time?
you know, deep in my heart, I say Spyro the Dragon.
There you
Um,
go.
that was that I honestly I think that was the game that got me into video games growing up. And back to your whole before memory cards and saving and stuff, I had the PlayStation 1. I was playing Spyro actually with Joseph Brunges,
Yes.
and we were playing it for about 5 hours straight. We were probably 70% done at the game,
Oh,
and then we tried to hit the save button and realized PlayStation 1, it doesn't come with a memory card. So run to Pamita at the time,
oh
go buy
man.
a memory card, come back, put it in, try to save. It only works if you boot the PlayStation with the
With
memory
the
card to
memory
start
card,
with.
no.
Lost all the progress, had to start over.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, so that
That
that yeah. Otherwise it's Call of Duty, obviously, the whole
right, but
franchise.
I actually like that answer because you're right. I had totally forgot about that game, and now that you say that, it just brings back all sorts of awesome memories. So that's a great answer. All right, question number 2. Number 1 feature on Microsoft 11.
Oh, let's see. So for Windows 11, probably the number one thing that I'm looking forward to is the whole Amazon Android store built into the operating system. So you can run any Android app that is available on the Amazon store. You can actually run natively right in Windows, um, which is, I think, going to be just huge for making your computer more personal and having that huge app library at your fingertips. And it's not the Google Play Store, so it's not the full Android, gambit, but it's majority, right? If you have a Kindle, whatever app you could download on your Kindle, you can now download and run right on Windows.
And that's something we never even touched in when we were talking about it. That sounds like a huge feature. And another one that just popped into my mind is uh, I think they were talking about customizing widgets. And a lot
Yep.
of uh, times you think, oh, widgets, they've been around forever. Nobody uses them. But it actually looked like in this release that they're going to be useful.
Yeah, yep. And it'll have some AI behind it too, so it'll be able to kind of try to find things that you like and are relevant for, like news feeds and things like that. It's not the creepy Google level
Yes.
of collecting your data. And selling it, it's the useful way of collecting data and using it to better you. Um, you know, uh, that's always been a pet peeve of mine. Google's whole business is run on on basically just stealing your personal information and your life. But I mean, you agree to it through their
What
terms and things like that, but they
what's
just all
happening
they do
here?
is take your
Are you tr-
information and sell it.
See, this will be perfect. This can be a first interview with Isaac on my channel, and he's gonna get me kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
No,
No,
that's good. That's good that they're actually valuing the privacy of the customer, which is very nice because that's one of the huge things right now. Everyone wants to keep their information
mhm.
safe, and it sounds like that's their number one priority.
Yeah, yep. And Microsoft, it's probably been about 5 years in the making now. We've been a huge pusher in basically you need to be upfront with what what you're using when you download an application, like you see in the web browsers now. It's even saying, hey, can we collect cookies on you or can we not? You see questions like, this application would like to use your microphone, do you want to allow that? Things like that have been in the works and slowly getting into here. And now when you download apps, they're very transparent. You see Facebook starting to do it now too. If you connect your Facebook account to other apps, they're saying, okay, here's a list of everything that Facebook is going to give this company of your personal information. And a lot of that's actually started in Europe with kind of cracking down on how much information companies were taking and selling uh, from users.
Yeah. See, all that stuff is foreign to me as far as who's using what data and stuff. All I can say on that is it's terrifying to know that all these companies know basically everything about you.
Yep.
And that's something very spooky to me. So when people have your privacy in mind, I guess I'm all for that. It seems like a great
hmm
feature to have. All right. Favorite movie of all time?
Oh boy.
That's tough. Some of these, I think, man, if I was asked this, would I have an answer? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. Growing up, I used to say Baby's Day Out. You ever seen that movie?
I've never even seen that one.
It's
I'll have to
almost
check it
like,
out.
yeah, Margot would like it. I
Okay.
gotta show it to Theo sometime. So Yeah, so just for some context, we both have 2-year-old kids,
Yes.
and
Yep.
it's almost like Home Alone, except for it's a baby who gets kind of like kidnapped and then is escaping these robber guys who fall into all these traps, and it's just, just funny how they get hurt and things like that trying to catch this baby. And so that was one of my favorites growing up. Otherwise, I mean, God, it's pretty tough. I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan. Um, but if I went Star Wars, I'd have to say, um, probably I'd say episode 5 probably. Um,
See, and that could be a whole nother podcast episode because I know you're a huge fan. I know Jacob, your brother, is a huge fan. Maybe the next time a Star Wars is released, we'll have to get both you guys on the show just talking Star Wars because I know you guys know everything about those films.
yeah, probably too much.
Yeah. And are you into The Hobbit too? Or is that just Jacob?
Jacob's a little more into that. He got me
Okay.
into Lord of the Rings. I
Okay.
liked the Lord of the Rings better than The Hobbit.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that kind of goes into my next question. If you could recommend a TV show, what would it be? And it can be current, past, anything.
well, we'll go back to Star Wars, The Mandalorian. Um, it's The Mandalorian is truly it brought back a lot of lifetime Star Wars fans. If you're a diehard Star Wars fan and you like the old ones, from the 70s and 80s, this brings back that feel. And it's all thanks to, John Favreau and um, Fione, I think is his last name. But I mean, there's a reason that they're getting promoted up the chain at Disney and Lucasfilms. They want them running the show because they did it right.
Well, I'm curious because when I started, the whole season wasn't released. And I do not like to watch shows where I've got to wait weekly. Is it
Yep,
all done?
you have 2 seasons to watch
Two
now.
seasons? Okay,
Yep,
now I
two
now
full
I can
seasons.
dive back into it. So
Yep.
I like that because I don't like the thing like, oh man, I finish. They leave you on a cliffhanger and you've got to wait a week. That just drives me nuts. So
Yep.
if Chelsea and I ever finish Survivor, which we've been going through all the old seasons, I'll have to get back onto Mandalorian. All right. Let's see here. Number 5. What would be more satisfying? Twins winning the World Series or the Vikings winning a Super Bowl?
Boy, the Vikings need to get that Super Bowl.
Yep.
Um, if because the Twins have their World Series,
Yep.
uh, every time you talk to a Packers fan, uh, they just say, "Oh, how many rings do you have?"
Yep. I know. That's it. That's
and
right.
and that's all they ever say, no matter what your point is or whatever. That's their only comeback I ever hear. So
But
it would be nice to put that to rest.
that would be my answer too. I would say Vikings Super Bowl. And I think part of it is how close they've got in the past. And we just have, I mean, it's almost just terrible luck, you know? It just seems like
Yep,
this is impossible. That couldn't have just happened, you know? We're a
yep.
better team than the team we're playing, and we just find a way. But one of these years, we're going to find a way to win it, and it is going to be so satisfying.
Yes, yep. And if we do make it to the Super Bowl, we better win it because I don't even want to make it to the Super Bowl if we're just gonna lose.
Yeah, I know. That's just it. I mean, if we get there, let's just finish the job. I mean,
Yeah.
oh, man, that'd be so awesome. I told Chelsea I would probably cry if they won the Super Bowl. I
Hmm.
pretty sure I would. Uh, all right. If you were to start a personal YouTube channel tomorrow, what would be your subject matter?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You know, I could I could potentially go with a Lego themed channel. Um, because I do like keeping up on the Lego sets, especially the Lego Star Wars stuff. Um, but at the same time, I mean, I like you and I and my brother and we could talk sports all day. We could get Bo in
All
here
day.
too, and
Yes,
and our friend Luke could tell us everything about sports. We're just
absolutely.
kidding. He knows nothing about sports, but he pretends he does, which is
He
awesome.
would give us great feedback though. He would have
Yeah.
great commentary to go along with whatever we're talking about. But yeah, I think sports would be something that would be awesome. I mean, we could talk about it for days, and we have talked about sports for days. So, all right. Question number 7. You're dropped onto a deserted island, and you are given a cell phone to get an airdrop with 2 items. What are the 2 items you're calling in?
Well, probably need the life straws work on salt water.
That's a good question. I've got a life straw. I'll have to look at the back of it and see if salt water would be filtered through that thing. I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to
Okay,
check
because
that out. But
that was something that would make sure I could get clean water would have to be one of them.
yep,
And maybe that's even just a pot that I can
yep,
boil.
that you can boil something on. Yep.
Yeah, yep. Um, yeah, and then it would be pretty important to be able to start a fire, so I'd go with like a flint or something that some long-lasting fire starting source. I think the
Yeah,
rest I could figure out.
yep. I think that's very good choices. All right, number 8. What product are you most excited about that will be coming out in the near future? And that it doesn't have to be like a technology product. It can be a vehicle. It could be anything. Do you have anything on your radar that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty interested to see where the electric car market's going to go. Um, the Ford Lightning really intrigues me.
Looks
Um,
very cool.
the and they've just thought of everything with that too. Um, so yeah, I guess the Ford Lightning might be the thing that I would be most excited to like. I would just love to actually see, touch, feel one. And then also just see how does it perform in our North Dakota climate too.
That's the
Um,
biggest concern for me as well. I mean, I just would like to see what kind of mileage you could get in 30 below
mhm.
weather. Um, I mean, it can't be good, can it? I mean, you wouldn't think it would be
Yeah,
able to be good, but
yeah,
with the
you wouldn't.
technology they've got, who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think Ford's thought about it more than Tesla, I think.
Yep.
Um, where Ford has what they call a torture test, where they put I think it's like 1 million miles on every pickup before they release the new models through various climates. And so they might have one guy who's doing rigorous testing and puts on 100,000 miles up in Alaska, and then another one, down in the desert, and then one doing other things, and they I remember him saying something about their batteries in a like watertight insulated capsule.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so you can take your truck through water, whatever, it's not going to hurt the battery. And I just wonder if that insulation or the way they did that would actually make it so that your battery wouldn't get that cold to the point where it's affected. Unless you parked outside for several days or something.
Right. And at that point, really, any vehicle would have issues. I mean, even the
Yep.
gasoline vehicles, you've got a battery in there. If you have it outside and it's 30 below for several days, you're probably not going to be getting it started. But yeah, that's a great product to look forward to. All right. Number 9, favorite athlete.
Favorite athlete, man. Might have to go with Kevin Garnett there.
Okay. I like
Um,
that answer.
just because of how fierce of a competitor he was, and
True.
uh, he brought it every day, and he's probably one of the only athletes that I followed to another team.
Right.
When he went to the Celtics, I was 100% on board with like I'm now a Celtics fan. I'll still watch the Timberwolves,
Yep,
but while he was there, I was, I bought Celtics gear. I was, and I don't know that if I ever had a player that I followed to another team like that, that because I liked him so much.
that's true. How sweet would that have been, though, if he could have won an NBA title in Minnesota? That would
Yep.
have been the ultimate. And I think he could have been close, if Marbury would have stuck around.
Hmm.
Boy, what could have been, I guess, we'll never know. But he was a very fun player to watch, and he was able to win with the Timberwolves, which is something nobody else
Yeah.
has been able to do. So you got to give him credit there. It would have been really cool to see him own the Timberwolves now. That was the next thing I was hoping, with the new
Yeah.
ownership group. I was hoping maybe they'd reach out a hand and say, hey, KG, come on in, be part of the ownership group, get the fan base, excited, and make us feel kind of comfortable that you're not going to be moving the team, to
Yeah.
Seattle or something like that. But I don't know. Those are just some thoughts. It would have been cool to see him as an owner.
Yep. And I actually saw Alex Rodriguez and who's the other guy that helped that's buying the Timberwolves. He's a big online.
Right. Yep.
I think he does like the online retail for Walmart or something, like
Okay.
some big online retailer guy. Um, but they actually watched a video on Kevin Garnett talking about the city and the Timberwolves and how he loves that city and would, die for it basically. And Alex Rodriguez actually said after watching that video, he made the decision to keep the Timberwolves in Minneapolis.
I like
And
that.
so,
And I
yeah,
hope they're just not saying that,
yeah,
because
yeah. I mean,
you never know if they could just say, "Oh, you know what? We were going to keep them there, but now we got a better
mhm.
deal, so we're gone." But
Yep.
it would be cool if they kept them, and it would be cool if they could create a winning mentality because obviously people like winners, and the reason there isn't the
Mhm.
attendance is because they don't win. If they're winning, I mean the people would come. So
Yep. Yeah, it's at some point the Timberwolves have to catch a break on, hopefully Anthony Edwards is that break
could
with our
be.
draft picks and because people, Lonzo Ball or not Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball got, rookie of the year and whatever, but you could argue that, you know, it's because he got playing time right away. Anthony Edwards had
Yep.
a transition between two different coaches. Obviously, under Finch, he had way more playing time and he was way more successful. He got way more, Coach Finch got way more talent out of Ant
And
after he came.
yeah, I feel like he wants to be the guy, I
Hmm.
mean, I feel like he's not afraid to take the shot at the final seconds. And some of our other players, I feel like, they wouldn't want
They,
that responsibility to be
yeah, they
the
might
top
pass
guy.
it up.
Yep, exactly. So
Yep.
I'm excited to see what comes with Anthony Edwards. He should be a lot of fun to watch. All right, final question. Biggest role model in your life? Yeah, that's going
Oh
to be a tough
boy.
one.
Yeah. Well, you'd think it'd be tough, but it's that easy sappy answer. It's definitely my dad. You know, he's just a great guy and always kept me in sports and taught me that faith is super important in your life and to keep the faith. And just growing up, uh, he was like my coach growing up and I still love sports today because of the time that I spent with my dad playing when we were younger and so definitely my dad.
Yep. And I can second that. I know him firsthand. He is a phenomenal guy. And when you say he coached you, he coached all of us. I mean, back when we had the V Wolves, we didn't even talk about V Wolves. My dad, your dad. I mean, that was just uh, unbelievable amount of fun. I mean, I'll never forget that stuff the rest of my life. But yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. When you say that's a tough question, it is a tough question, but for a lot of us, that question is probably very easy. So I think that's a wonderful answer, a wonderful way to end the podcast. I want to thank you for being on the show. First time, but I hope in the future you'll be able to come on a lot more. Even just talking sports, talking technology stuff coming out, video games, anything. As you can tell, we've talked for an hour now, and I feel like that time just flies.
We could go forever.
We could go forever. It's endless. I mean,
this is. It's like our Call of Duty on the weekends. Sometimes it's hard to put down the controller and go to sleep because we could just keep going.
Talk. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we should have a segment. Chelsea just drops a topic, just go on and on about it.
Yep, exactly. And I was gonna say I'm gonna break up your broadcast a little bit, and I'm gonna say you're getting a gift.
Oh my goodness! Hey, I like that. Hey, awesome.
We've got Dr. Squatch pine tar scented soap.
Well, that is awesome.
Yes.
This is a Preston Jensen's podcast first, where I'm going to be getting a gift. That's amazing. I cannot wait to try it out, because if it smells anything like regular pine tar, that's going to be phenomenal.
Oh, I tell you what, every time I smell it, I think of baseball, and it's the best. And it's the only soap I've ever had. It actually has sand and oatmeal in it, which basically it's like you're getting a back scratch while you're using it. It's amazing. So,
and believe it or not, audience, we are not sponsored here. But hey, if anyone's listening with this soap company, I can't wait to try it out. Hopefully we can get a sponsorship out of this. That'd be sweet. But I can't wait to try it out.
Send us a few. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, hey, we'll test them out. That sounds great. I've never tried it yet, but I've heard you talk about it a lot, and I've heard Luke talk about it a lot. So it must be some amazing soap. I can't wait to try it. Thank you, Isaac. That's going to be fun to get.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll talk to you in the future on this podcast. Can we get you to say that yes, you will come on in the future?
Oh yes, definitely. Right, and maybe we can make a fantasy football theme or something, but get Bo and Jacob in here, maybe even Titus. Who knows?
I like the sound of that. Either way, we're going to have a lot of fun episodes coming out in the future. Stay tuned for more episodes with Isaac. A lot of people I've got lined up that you guys should be excited about. Stay tuned, and thank you, and see you next week.